All right, finally. I mean, it's honestly it's been a while since I've talked about Ultraman, and and it's something that's not toy related for once, right? So it's actually some kind of news going on, but it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a little bit ever since its announcement, because I feel like it was kind of like not too long ago that they announced basically the next entry of the Ultraman series. And as we all know, they Subaraya loves to pump out plenty of Ultraman content without a doubt. Like they are just like pumping it out. I mean, like every year it's always a new Ultraman, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm totally up for that. But I've definitely noticed that after Ultraman Decker, there was a little bit of like a little bit of a slowdown. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't really like any kind of major announcements right away. You know how we usually like when a show is pretty much almost towards its end, and then right around that specific time was when they announced the next Ultraman. So obviously, Ultraman Trigger, and then they announced Ultraman Decker and all that. And another interesting aspect about this new Ultraman is that a lot of people are kind of curious to if it's going to relate to Ultraman Gaia, of course. Judging by the look of it, just like his design and just how things look just from like the pictures that we've seen and all that. Some people are speculating that it's probably going for like a more Ultraman Nexus kind of deal, and that's obvious. That's kind of huge for a lot of old school Ultraman fans. And just to add some context, because I know that not everyone's gonna know what I'm talking about. I mean, well, Ultraman is it's a kaiju series. It's about a some alien thing that comes to Earth, fights against kaiju's, and then that's pretty much it. That's all you have to know. I mean, I know within each version of the show, I know that there was like some shows deal with like mostly fighting like aliens, and then ones like like weird dinosaur shits and all that. Trust me, if you've seen the old shows, I mean, they were pretty crazy for sure. But it's, no matter how weird or fake they kind of look, but that was sort of the magic behind Ultraman. It was basically people wearing rubber costumes, and that's kind of the whole gist of it. But the reason why right now with the codename Ultraman situation, the reason why that's interesting, it's because it seems like they were going for a certain pattern, but it looks like that they've kind of broken it, or maybe they haven't. What I mean by that is in the late 90s, there was the Heisei Ultraman era, and that consisted of Tiga, Dyna, and Gaia. And there was, I guess, a couple of more before that, but that's mostly the ones that everybody associates with. So basically, with these new Ultramen, they were going for that same vibe. They were basically like alternate versions of those specific Ultramen. So Trigger is obviously like Tiga, Decker is obviously like Dyna. So it was eventually we would have gotten an Ultraman similar to Gaia, obviously. So it seems like from what we've seen, it definitely looks interesting. It looks like they're gonna definitely take a much more different direction with the series. But then again, I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe it is gonna be the same old, same old. I don't know. One thing to mention too is I've noticed that during the was it called the no. I'm trying to remember exactly the name of the generations. Not Reraw. I think Reraw is the current one, but I'm not too sure. There was the one called just the New Generation era, started from like 2013 all the way to like 2019 or so. And I remember during that specific era, most of like the heroes, like the main person who would become an Ultraman, most of their associations weren't like big science corporations and all that. Because if you remember watching like the older Ultraman shows, there was always like some sort of like science patrol, basically kind of helping out Ultraman fighting against kaiju's and all that. And I know that was kind of lacking for a little bit until they started to kind of bring that back little by little, and then eventually they pretty much did. And now it's like, wow, it's like you're watching a classic Ultraman show again. Not that there was anything wrong with the shows. Don't get me wrong. Those shows are insanely entertaining to a degree. Don't get me wrong. You might not like all of them the same way, but that's perfectly fine. That's why we always got these different versions of Ultraman, even though there's like so many of them. But this new one is just, it's weird, especially with his design too. I love how he kind of got like that weird kind of like, it's like half of it's like what you expect from a regular basic design, and then the other one's like this kind of, it got like some kind of weird stuff going on. It looks rather interesting, and I'm not sure when it premieres, because apparently it does. The show actually does premiere somewhere in towards the end of April, but I'm not 100% sure exactly. The date. The reason why I want to talk about it so much is because a couple more stuff started to come out about it. The name was finally revealed, and the name of the Ultraman is actually Blazer or Blazar. So that kind of makes me wonder if the name of the show is going to be Ultraman Blazar, because that was one of the things I've noticed too. The names of the shows are always Ultraman something, so I almost feel like that this is kind of sort of the first time that they've changed it up a little bit by calling it Codename Ultraman, which is, it sounds boring, honestly, the name, but for the most part, that's probably not what the show's called. This is not the first time they've done it, apparently. I know when they did Ultra 7X, apparently it did have a little bit of a nickname, and obviously that wasn't the permanent name. It was called, like, I think, damn, you know what? I had it right in my head too, and I completely forgot. Anyway, it's not that important, but you guys get the idea. I don't think I need to explain too much about it. I just want to talk just a little tiny bit more about where it's going, right? So I'm gonna show you a little picture of it really quickly. So let me lower the brightness down because I have that problem with trying to show. Oh, it was called Codename R. That's what they called it apparently during Ultra 7X's debut or so. Okay, so this is kind of like that weird little teaser that we were kind of we kind of got, and yeah, it's about it. Yeah, and then the toys, of course, why not? That also did got a little tiny bit of a reveal. I say a tiny bit because I know eventually we're gonna get a little bit more. Obviously, when it comes to Bandai, I honestly love their figures, and I hate that I had to stop collecting them because the people I was buying it from just started disappearing. So that was sad. And yeah, I seen it in the chat. I know you're asking me about the collection, and hasn't changed that much, unfortunately. The last couple of figures I got was from Ultraman Decker, but that was about it. Haven't really gotten anything else besides that. I'm trying to remember, but yeah. I didn't forget about the tour reviews too, because I know I've been pretty lacking in that, but I'll get to that towards the end. So just a couple of things I want to say before I kind of end the video, because I just wanted to sort of briefly talk about it because it does look rather interesting. And I guess we should also talk a little bit about the rumors, which I don't like to follow. I don't like to just talk about rumors, obviously, but hey, they're out there. I gotta talk about it at least. Sometimes they're true, sometimes they're not. I remember, listen, as a horror fan, I love Resident Evil, and I remember when people were going crazy over Resident Evil 8, also known as Village, and people were like, wow, all the rumors that were coming out, some of them turned out to be true. Most of them were true. You know what I mean? So you never know. Because one of the rumors is that apparently one of the Ultramans, Ultraman Geed, might actually make a comeback, but he's going to be a villain in this one, which, I mean, that's hard to say. I don't know. I'm just saying this is just from rumors. There's going to be like a couple of other like cameos and all that, but that's not confirmed information. I just thought I'd kind of put that out there because I heard it from a couple of sources. I heard it from well, besides Reddit, obviously. To me, that's not a source. That's just people that want to post stuff just because. You know what I mean? I saw that a lot with some people saying that this was probably like an almost sort of alternate universe type deal kind of going on, where apparently we're going to see Ultraman Gee, but he's going to be working with his father, Belial, to take over the world and all that, which, I mean, it's a possibility, if I'm being honest, because Ultraman, they did confirm that yeah, if not most of the shows, if I'm being honest, they take place in different dimensions and all that. But again, I can't really say for sure if that's true. I know of Ultraman Trigger, technically, yes, that is a show that takes place in an alternate universe where instead of Tiga as the Guardian, it was Trigger. And then, Trigger, he has that kind of whole backstory where he was kind of evil at some point, sort of. He was with like you get the point. I don't need to explain a little bit too much. I know one of the members from Guts actually came from that world with Tiga, and he was like, damn, I forgot how he ended up there too. I don't remember if it was some sort of portal. It's been a long time since I've seen Trigger, if I'm being honest, and I deeply enjoyed it. A lot of people said it's not a good show. I don't know why. I don't know what they're smoking. It's entertaining. That's all I can say. It was pretty decent that I remember. It was like, wow. Especially with the way it ended. It ended like so abrupt, but the way that it ended, it was like, wow. It was kind of sad. I mean, don't get me wrong. Ultraman's never really been like the kind of emotional type. Don't get me wrong. They had their fair share of characters that pass on and all that. I mean, Ultraman Leo, that show is brutal for a show with like goofy looking kaijus and all that. It's shocking with how like brutal the show was. I can't even fathom. Like honestly, the show was like so crazy. I can't really consider it a kid show either. I mean, Ultraman is not a kid show per se. I mean, they've definitely had their different iterations. That's also why the conversation with like the whole Gaia and Ultraman Nexus ordeal. A lot of people are wondering if Ultraman Blazar is going to be either like a Gaia type or a Nexus type. And the reason why that's also a big deal is because Ultraman Nexus was very known for being one of the more mature Ultraman shows, which I haven't really watched in a while to kind of get that idea. Plus, let's be honest here, every time you try to watch Ultraman on YouTube, the videos that tend to get deleted anyway because they're posted by like, random people or so. It's not posted on the Ultraman's official YouTube account. Because if you go on it right now, they're actually putting Ultraman Z episodes with English dub. So okay, that's good. I'm glad that that's at least getting some attention because just like Godzilla, Ultraman has never really been that popular here in America. So it's nice to see that they're kind of sorting, getting into that treatment little by little. So that's great. That's fantastic. So I got a phone call. Oh no, it's just nah. It's not me. It's not for me. Sorry. I'm doing this shit and then I get a freaking phone call. Oh boy. Anyway, yeah. So I guess that's about wrap it up. I don't really got much else to say for the most part. So let me just take a look at the chat real quick before I end the video. Yep, Blazar related to decade. Well, I don't know because I've always thought like Kamen Rider and like Ultraman were kind of rivals because I remember when Kamen Rider when they became popular in the 70s. Tsuburaya wanted to kind of make a rivalry with them, so that was around the time Ultraman Ace was created. Laser coins. Can you review Zerf? Yeah, definitely. I have the figure, so I could definitely review it for sure. So no problems with that. So okay. Guess that's about it. Just want to talk about it a little bit, and plus I'm kind of getting a little bit more back into doing these kind of conversation type videos because the whole point of these is they're like tiny little essays. I talk about toy news, maybe stuff that kind of goes on, and yeah, all right. So that's about it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video for the most part. Hopefully I'll try to kind of get on the toy reviews and stuff like that. I've been mostly kind of planning little by little as to bringing back my Doom gameplay, but I'm not really 100% yet on that because I kind of want to get back a little bit more of what I'm doing before I can really start doing that type of stuff because, I've been mostly doing a lot of toy hunts too, I mean, not counting the whole situation I had with Target. That I still need to talk about. That's a funny story actually. There's a whole background to it and everything. So until then, hope you guys stay safe out there and I'll see you guys next time.